Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, from whom I learned this truth. And Shalom to the 144,000 elect. I am Mayakala. And I just wanted to do this lesson on the corrupt political leaders that lead this country. The reason I was motivated to even talk about this is because I'm seeing that maybe they're trying to kick the can down a little further down the road as far as this government shutdown is concerned. They're got everybody believing that it's about to come to an end. And it may indeed come to an end for a certain period of time. But it's in an effort just to accomplish something for them. Because like I said, these political leaders on both sides of the aisle are just that. They want to accomplish things for their own selves. I mean, and it's in an effort to, they're headed to the same goal. They have the same goal in mind, which is to bring about more laws that they need to have in order to be able to push forth their agenda. But I want to go to Genesis 6, and I have just a few verses that I want to bring out. This won't be very long. And you can see under Genesis 6, it says, the heading here says, the corruption of mankind. And that's what we're dealing with these political leaders, and not only just the political leaders, but mankind, just like the heading reads. Everybody's got their own agenda, but they want to push forth to accomplish what it is that they have set in mind because of corruption. But I'm just going to go down to verse 12. And it says, "And the Most High looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth." And as I was talking about the government, it just recently took another vote to see if they're going to actually open up the government. But like I said, even if it does, I believe that it's only going to be just for a short period of time, because like I said, they got an agenda that they want to address. They want to push forward. And just listening to the news, I heard them mention that this is only going to be a temporary fix, and that it's going to have to be addressed once again in January. Now that's roughly 2 months from now. So in my opinion, this is just something to get their economy going, because they know without their economy going, they're going to have a bad fourth quarter here in the business world, as they put it. So it's just to get through these holidays, these so-called holidays or holidays, and they want to add a little boost at the end of the year so that fourth quarter doesn't look so bad. And with this shutdown, I even heard them mention that they do their jobs reports, I guess quarterly, but they didn't even release any statistics on the job reports and the status of employment, because it just so worked out because of the government being shut down that they wouldn't be able to release those numbers. But they know that they are probably pretty bad. So I'm thinking that they've just made this little meeting and come together in order to just be able to push forth their agenda and get through these holidays and try to save face, so to speak, so that their numbers will look a little bit better, and they can generate that money that they have to generate for this fourth quarter and for their little holidays. It's just to get through this season. And then once again, like I said, they're going to have to address this again on January 30th, or in the month of January, Salakia. The next verse I wanted to go to is in Psalms. going to chapter 12 and verse 1. It says, help the Lord Yahweh, for the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men. And in the NLT it says, help, O Lord Yahweh, for the godly are fast disappearing. The faithful has vanished from the earth. And see, supposedly there's supposed to be a few good guys, and I don't know whether they're in House or in Congress, but these guys that these Paul Rands and Massey, these guys are supposed to really be some good guys who really care about the state of America, and they seem to be not having allegiance to Trump or well any of the presidents, whoever. They seem to be the ones who really vote their conscience, or as they put it, vote with the interests of America at hand. And but even you can see that these guys, they supposedly are good guys, but even these guys seem to go along with the agenda when they have to, and it seems like they're always being voted in. So they pose that they give off that appearance that they are guys that really show allegiance to this country and believe in America and don't follow any agenda of whoever's sitting in the presidential seat. But you got two guys, and out of more than 400 of them, you got these two guys, and they're really voiceless, because even if they are trying to vote their conscience and vote vote for what they feel is right for America, you got those two guys they really pretty much stand alone, and they have to pretty much go along with the agenda, and eventually they go along with what their party has decided. Whatever decision they make, they have to go along with it, because they're looking out for themselves also, because they know come the next election that they can be voted out pretty easily. So even the so-called good guys eventually go along with the agenda. All right, and you can look at, like I said, there's more than 400 seats in both the House and the Congress, but there's no representation for the Hebrew Israelite. There's no real righteous man that sits in any of those seats. I mean, you can just see that there's no representation, and even if there was a one that was in any of those seats, it would just be corruption all around him, and it would be hard for him to even maintain a seat there. And he couldn't stand there or stay in there and be able to do the right thing and expect to even stay in office, because like I said, these guys eventually will get voted out. And besides that, according to Deuteronomy, I believe it's 17, we don't participate. The Hebrew Israelite doesn't participate in these systems anyway, because we don't vote for anybody that's not an Israelite. That's something that we don't even participate in. So you can very easily see why we don't have that type of representation in the House or in the Senate, because we don't partake in these corrupt political systems. But I'm going to move on. And I wanted to bring out, you know what, since I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go to Proverbs 29:2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And that's what you're seeing on a whole. You're seeing the people mourn because you got wicked in all these positions of rulership here in America. All right. And the only time that we're going to see a righteous council, a righteous set of leaders, is in the kingdom that's to come. And that's going to consist of the Israelites. They're going to be in the positions of rulership, and that rulership is going to be a righteous rulership. And you're going to see that mourning cease. You're going to see a righteous representation go throughout all the earth. I mean, not only will the people rejoice, but you're going to even have plant life rejoice. You're going to have the animals rejoice. It's going to be righteousness that's going to reign in that kingdom. All right, I just wanted to bring that out while that was on my mind. I just got a few more verses that I wanted to bring out here. I want to go to Isaiah chapter 57. And I'm going to read verse 1, and you can see the heading there says, evil leaders rebuked. And verse 1 says, the righteous perish, and no man layeth it to heart, and merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. And in the NLT it says, good people pass away, the godly often die before their time, but no one seems to care or wonder why. Since no one seems to understand that the Most High is protecting them from the evil to come. And that evil to come is what we're seeing. We're seeing the beginnings of it. The beginnings of what's called Jacob's trouble. You know, and you see some of the righteous do get taken away because they're not even going to have to face it. They're not even going to have to go through these perilous times that we're about to enter into. Actually, we have already entered into. We're at the beginning of stages. And at Jacob's trouble, since I mentioned, I'm going to go over to Jeremiah chapter 30. And verse 6 it says, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. So it's asking, have you ever seen a man deliver a child? Have you ever seen a man carry a child or bring forth a child? It says, wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail? So you're going to see in that time that I mentioned, that time to come, that time that we're entering into, you're going to see grown men, the mightiest of men, you're going to see them doubled over, and you're going to see them in pain and see them as a woman in travail when she's bringing forth a child and having those birth pains. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see the biggest, strongest man because of what's coming. That's what we're going to face. What Jacob's trouble is going to entail, what Jacob's trouble is going to take the mightiest. So if it's going to do that even to the mightiest, you can imagine what it's going to do to the women, to the children, and to the weakest man. It's going to have them doubled over in pain for the things that they're going to experience. It says, and all faces are turned into paleness. So I'm going to read that again. It says, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So the Lord's elect are going to be saved out of these things that are coming, this tribulation that is to come. And we're seeing, like I said, even though we're seeing the beginning of it right now, the righteous are going to be saved out of this time that's coming into to be. All right, you're going to see, like I said, we're entering into a time where you're going to see the mightiest of men in pain. You're going to see the mightiest of men brought down to their knees and weak, being weak because of the things that they're going to experience. All right. And the NLT verse 7 says, in all history, there has never been such a time of terror. That's what we're going to experience. You think there's terrorists and there's terror going on right now? You haven't seen what's about to take place here on this earth. It says it will be a time of trouble for my people Israel, yet in the end they will be saved. So Israel in the end is going to be saved. But that time of Jacob's trouble, there's 2/3 of the Israelites who are not going to be saved. Only the Lord's elect are going to be saved. So not only the Israelites are going to 2/3 are going to experience what's to come, that Jacob's trouble that's to come, but the rest of the nations are going to experience as well. They won't be able to escape from it. And I'm going to go over to 2 Timothy. And going to go over to chapter 3. And in verse 1 it says this, and that heading, you can see that heading there, says difficult times will come. It says, this know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. And I wanted to look at that word perilous. And it is G5467, and I'll give you a pronunciation of it.
Strong's G5467. Chalipas. Chalipas.
So there's perilous times that we're about to enter into, that we're going to experience. It says it's going to be hard to do, or hard to take, or to approach, hard to bear, troublesome, dangerous, harsh, fierce, or savage. And it says in the Strong's definition, it says, through the idea of reducing the strength would be difficult, dangerous, or furious, fierce, and perilous. I just wanted to bring that word out just so you can get an idea of the difficulty and the times that we're entering into at this time. Back to 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 2, it says, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. It says without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. And let's look at that word, incontinent. And it is G193. And under the I'll give you a pronunciation first.
Strong's G193. Akrates. Akrates.
And under the biblical usage, it says without self-control or intemperate. And we looked up that word before, but I want to look at it again. Intemperate. I'm going to go to Google for a definition. It says having or showing a lack of self-control, immoderate. All right, and you can see that there's people that you experience it on or see it on a daily basis. You can just turn on any news channel and you can see people out of control. Every day you're hearing about another unaliving somewhere, whether it be 2 or 3 or 4 people or more being unalived it could be at a given shopping market. It could be at any situation. It happens at the schools regularly. All right, you can just see a lack of self-control, and people are just losing it just because of the things that they're going through, the things that they're experiencing, the hardships that they're having come upon them. You know, the things that they're experiencing in their lives, whether it be from a spouse or another family member, that makes them react in a manner where they lose control. They have no self-control. All right, let me go back, because I think I just had one more verse that I wanted to read there. And verse 4, it says, they also be traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. And that's what you see. You see people acting and like I said, that word intemperate, having no self-control because of being lovers of themselves rather than lovers of the Most High. Everybody's looking just to please themselves and do what's right for them. And especially these politicians, like I mentioned earlier, they're just looking out for themselves. They're looking out for what's good for them, you know, and what they everything that they do, even if, though it might look like it's in an effort to help their constituents, what they're really doing is looking out for themselves, because they know that especially around election time, they start worrying about their own future and if they're going to be able to continue in these various seats that they sit in. So they're just lovers of themselves. They're just being looking out for themselves. And even though they make it appear as though they're looking out for their constituents, they don't care about that. They just want to get right back in office, and once they get back in office, they continue to do the same dirty things that they do, and you don't find about it until after they've done it. And then what happens, even if they do get caught and get brought to their justice, or what they call justice, they get a slap in the hand, and they either just have to resign the position, or they get a fine and they go right back into office, and they go right back to doing their their dirty deeds, their crimes. So it's the same thing going on and on. All right. But that's all I really had that I wanted to bring out, and I pray that this has been edifying to the listener. And I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakadash. Shalom.